You want to say hello to the people, Katara? You're so precious. Hi, you big girl. Oh, shit. You got you got makeup on your face. Hi, welcome to a new video. If you don't know who I am, I'm Jenna. I make writing crime-related videos and write science fiction fantasy novels. This is my dog Katara. Apparently she's going to be here for this video. She wants all the attention and the lovings. Hi. Oh god. And today I thought we would go over my writing history and timeline because boy have I written some weird fucking books, and I thought this would be an interesting video as like a precursor to me going through my old writer laptop. That way when we find some of these old stories on my old writer laptop, you guys will have some context for them in that upcoming video. When it comes out, I'll make sure to link it right there. I started writing when I got into my Twilight days, and I basically wrote Twilight fan fiction. When I was in about 6th grade. That's also when I started reading and writing and everything. I did not read a single book before 6th grade. I had the Twilight books read to me, so technically they weren't even my first books I read. I think the first book I ever actually read was Vampire Kisses by Ellen Schreider, I think is what her name was. That was originally, I think, published in the 90s, the first book, and the rest of them came out throughout the 2000s, and I followed along because they were longer book series than Twilight, and I got to anticipate the next books. So that was the first series that I read, and after that it was the Darkest Power series by Kelly Armstrong, which I loved. It was my favorite book series for a long time. Only got beat out recently by Aurora Rising because I still love Darkest Power series. And while I was writing, as you can see, my taste there was very vampire, so I wrote a lot of vampire stories, and then Darkest Power's love interest was a werewolf, so I transitioned into a werewolf person. And I wrote a lot of rip-offs of both of those series and blending them several times together. And then I got into Mortal Instruments, so then I blended all those together. Back in that day though, I was writing on Quizilla. Now please let me know down below if you were on Quizilla too, because this is like a back in the day thing, okay? They didn't even have like story prompt, like structure for you to have and write in like long form. They were mostly in quizzes, so it was like a choose your own style story, but you would read like a paragraph of story and then you would hit your choice as like a reaction or like a choice you would want the characters to do, and then read the next paragraph of the story and have another little quiz thing, and you just go through like that. And originally that was how I wrote stories, is that I either wrote them for myself or I wrote them on Quizilla. So I had a following on there, and I ended up finding out about Wattpad because Quizilla was slowly dying by the time I did join it. Ended up finally, I think, just the whole website fell off the face of the planet like a couple years later. I think it like officially got taken down. I think it was a site of Nickelodeon or something. But then I ended up becoming a Wattpad writer, and I think to this day have like 2,000 followers on there, but I think they started purging old accounts that weren't in use. And I'm not even sure if mine's up anymore, so if you guys can ever find it, like, let me know. It's just under my name. When I tried to log into it last, it said that my password was incorrect, and when I tried to take it to my email, it was someone else's email, so I think someone actually took my account and stole it off of Wattpad. But originally I was a Wattpad writer. My first series on there was called the Academy series, I think. They were sort of another ripoff of Darkest Powers, I'll be honest, but like a little bit in Harry Potter's realm as well. So they were like, in Darkest Powers, the kids go to a group home, and all the kids at the group home are magical. And in my book, it was a bunch of teens who were sort of like on probation. Like they were all like troublemakers and stuff, just like trying to get a little bit better, I guess you could say. So the main character, I think she's playing baseball or something, and she breaks a neighbor's window, and she's done so much like messed up stuff as a teenager that like that's the last straw, and they ship her from, I think, Arizona to California along the beach, and that's where this mysterious school is. And not everyone at the school was magical, but definitely like all the people she was around were magical. I named like the villains after people I didn't like in like elementary school who were like bullies, I guess, or like used to be my friend and like were like, I don't want to be your friend anymore. So then I made them into the villains of the book. And so the first one was called like Guilty Academy. If you follow me on here from Guilty Academy, fucking let me know, because you were a real one. If you remember those days, let me know, because I was a freshman in high school, okay, when I wrote that book, and that was the book that ended up getting the A. Waddy Award, so I got a nice $200 check. It's the only thing I've ever really made money on from writing. I don't even know what the money went to. So that was a trilogy that I wrote. I started it when I was a freshman in high school, and I think I finished the trilogy right as I was a senior. I finished it off real quick before I had to go to college because I was like, I'm bored of these books, and I wrapped it up real quick. And then in between that, I wrote a couple different like half-assed attempts at stories. I wrote one that was like this like punk girl dating like a geek, and then I wrote like one with werewolves, which was totally just like a written version of a story I was playing out in The Sims 3, like, to be completely honest with you. So I had like my little Sims, and they would do like random crazy stuff because this was The Sims 3, so like they would just do random shit and then I would just write it into the book. So there was that one. I think that one was called Controlled. I don't think I ever finished that one. And then I also wrote The Boy with the Mismatched Eyes, which so many people loved. It was like super problematic though. It relied heavily on indigenous mythology and stuff, and I thought I was indigenous because that's what my family told me I was, and they didn't even know. So like they just, I don't know why they thought they were, okay? I don't know why they thought we were indigenous. So I thought like I have a right to tell this story because I'm indigenous. That's what I grew up thinking I was, you know, like, and like we did grow up with like cultural indigenous stuff. So like I was like, I have to be indigenous. They've taught me all these indigenous things. They did not. We are not. And so yeah, so that story was all about that. Like the girl's dad died. I literally gave him the same death date as my dad. It was really just like my healing process through like my dad being dead when I was in high school. And so Dead Dads Club. Yeah, so I wrote that, and it was basically just like me imagining like a fictional place where like, it wasn't even fictional, it was like in this world, but like it took some things from like Assassin's Creed, and then it also took some things from like my own life, and then I just put them in like a YA setting that was super self-indulgent and like also super problematic. That was a story around there. I never finished the sequel from it. I think it was The Girl with the Demon Eyes, I think is what it was called. I never did finish it. I always said I was going to, just so like people would have some sort of ending, because I still like even recently got messages asking somebody asking me to finish the story, and I was going to, but the only place that I remember having the books is on Wattpad, and my account got stolen. That's where that went. So maybe it'll be on my old writer laptop when I make a video going through that. If you want to see that, let me know down below. And maybe I will finish off that problematic book for some poor sobs on the world who have been waiting like 6 years for that story. What else did I write? I attempted to write a sci-fi. I don't even remember much about it, to be honest with you. Didn't go anywhere. And then I got into Supernatural, and I wrote a Supernatural Mortal Instruments crossover, not fan fiction. It was my own original work, but it was influenced heavily by both of those things. It was called The Chosen, which I was like, this is super original name. And then later on when I found out more about publishing, I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to change that name of that book I wrote because it's super cliche. But then like, I'm pretty sure Veronica Roth wrote a book called The Chosen, so like, fuck if I know anything. I wrote that book. It was 100,000 words. I wrote it in a month. Because literally the only thing I did that summer vacation, for that 1 month in the middle of summer vacation, I didn't have school. The only thing I did was watch Supernatural and write that book. And that thing just flew out of me. I started work on the sequel. I think I got 20K words into it, and then stopped because I realized I wanted to go back and edit the first one before I wrote the sequel, because I thought that was gonna be the one I got an agent with. I did not. It was a fucking mess. And then where did I go from there? Then I think definitely tried to write other stories in there. I don't remember what some of them were, but then I was in college and I decided that I was gonna write an elf book. I was writing an elf book, and then after it got shit on by some agents, I went on to Spaceborne, and then I've worked on Spaceborne for the past 5 years. I have taken breaks to work on other stories. I just haven't finished anything else in that time, but like, that's my writing history, guys. That is all the books I can remember writing. I think those are the ones I finished. I wrote a trilogy. I almost finished The Boy with the Mismatched Eyes, so I'll say that's 5. And then I did The Chosen. And then I did Spaceborne. And then I did that one book that shall not be named. And then there was that fan fiction. Oh my god, I almost found out the fan fiction. I had a friend and I did self-insert Black Veil Brides, which is a band, self-insert fan fiction. That I unfortunately think might still be on the internet somewhere. Please don't try to find it, oh my god. I didn't even write the horrible things in there. There's like a smut scene in there. My friend wrote a smut scene of me and that exists somewhere. Unfortunately, that was the thing. I wrote some of the fluff. I wrote the fluff. I didn't finish that one. Oh, but there was my Neverland series, and this is when we talk about self-publishing. I did NaNoWriMo with some, it was basically like a knockoff Once Upon a Time, because I was obsessed with Captain Hook from Once Upon a Time as a high schooler. I wrote a Hook love story called Neverland, and I was writing its sequel that never got finished. But I did write that one as well. So I've written probably like 8 to 10 books to completion, and a bunch of other half done stories over the years. I wrote this book, and as a prize for winning NaNoWriMo, they said that you could print out your book. I, being a naive child, was like, oh yeah, I want to copy my book. I get like 2 free copies, hell yeah. They were self-published. They have like a little ISBN. I didn't realize that though, like when I did it, or the consequences of those actions, really. Like, so I technically have self-published. I had a couple people buy it. I think I got a $20 check from people buying my book, and I ended up having to try and take it off of the internet. You might still be able to find it somewhere, but if anybody fucking asks, it's not my book. I didn't write it. I didn't even edit it. I told people I edited it before I put it up, but like I maybe did the first chapter. I'm gonna be honest, I was like 16, like leave me be. But no, that exists. You might be able to still get a copy on Amazon if you want to give me another $1. Yeah, hopefully that just, don't look it up. It's fine, it's fine. I know me saying don't look it up, you're gonna look it up. But yeah, so that exists. I have self-published a book before, very poorly, because I didn't realize I was self-publishing a book. I'm so glad NaNoWriMo got rid of that as a fucking option for one of their prizes for like winning NaNoWriMo. The book was only like 50K because it was for NaNoWriMo, and I just like wrapped it up really quick when I saw I was getting towards the end of the word count. And it wasn't good. So there was that too. The only books I can confidently say were good. I know the boy with the mismatched eyes was problematic as shit, okay? I know that, but the base of it was good, okay? The basics of it, the execution, poor. The fact that it was cultural appropriation and like telling indigenous people stories, even though indigenous people thanked me for writing it, I was really confused when I realized like that's not a thing, and I didn't know at the time, okay? Yeah, that was problematic, but if it had been based in other mythology and not indigenous stories, it could have been interesting. It had an interesting base to it. It was all about like magic at the same time inside of secret societies, which is where the Assassin's Creed influence came from. That was interesting. I might play with that again in the future. Actually, I do have a whip that actually plays with that. Now that I think about it, it's also inspired by Assassin's Creed. That's my Revolution whip. If you guys have seen briefly a little bit of that on Twitter, I've had that idea in my brain for a long time, and it's just been in the background for a long time, and then I was like, I should mention this because this has existed in my brain for a long time. That exists in my brain somewhere. I should have mentioned that probably in my transitional writing vlog, writing episode thing, but I did not. So it's here now. I think that's all the stories that I've written. I think definitely the best books out of there have been the books that I'm writing now. Click on the transitional writing episode if you want to see more about those. Spaceborne elf book was actually pretty good. People actually really enjoyed it, other than the agents who were like, elves aren't a thing. And then what were the Mismatched Eyes? The Chosen, honestly, it's not that it was bad. It was very early 2000s and it would not fly today. So if I can find that sometime, that'd be interesting, because that's a 100K book that I have not read in like 8 years probably. Yeah, we might go through and see if we can find that, because I have like several. I have one old laptop that I know where it is. I brought it with me to this new apartment. The other ones might still be at my mom's house. We will see what I can find. And that's it for me today, I think, because like, I think that's all the books I wrote, yeah. So far, we might go through a lot more in our time together here on AuthorTube. That's it for me today. So if you guys want to see me go through my old writer laptop, do let me know down below and I will definitely make that video for you guys. It's just gonna be a little bit more complicated to set up because I'm gonna have to like set up a table here with the laptop. I might do it on like a live stream or something. So let me know if you want a video or a live stream and I will definitely make that for you guys. And remember to like this video if you did like it, give it a big old thumbs up. And if you want to see more writing and comm related videos, do make sure to subscribe because I post them every Friday. I'll see you guys later, so bye!